In this video, 3 of the biggest mistakes I made while losing weight and what I did to fix them. But first, that cheesy intro. What's up guys? My name's TK. I'm a certified nutrition coach, and having lost over 120 pounds myself, I know a thing or two when it comes to losing weight. I just figured I'd make these videos to kind of share some tips, tricks, and whatever to help you guys out. Alright, let's get to it. Oh wait, one more thing. If you like these kind of videos and you want to see more like them, be sure to hit like and subscribe down below, and I'll be sure to put more videos like this up soon, alright? Thanks. Alright, one of the very first mistakes that I found myself doing when I first got started on this weight loss journey was that I was weighing myself way too often. Now this can really mess with your head. Ultimately, what this did was it created a sort of pressure where I always had to be a lower weight than my last weigh-in. Now when you go day to day, that can be almost impossible. And the biggest problem here is it creates a sort of like value system where your own self-worth is sort of linked to that number on the scale. And that's just not good. Now weighing yourself with a scale is a useful tool, but it's just that, it's a tool. The scale just gives a flat number of body composition altogether. Doesn't really indicate if there's really fat loss or weight loss in general. And while the scale is helpful to use, I recommend only using it maybe once a week. And when you do use it, make sure you remain consistent with when you use it. So for this, I recommend weighing in like once a week and making sure it's around the same time each week. Even if you might have like a ritual outfit you wear or stuff like that. Keep it the same. By doing this, it'll let you more accurately track your progress of your weight loss journey. The next mistake I made was that I kept using unhealthy food as a reward. Now I can't stress enough how much this seemingly innocent and almost positive habit can really derail your weight loss goals. Now in the beginning of my journey, I felt I had to cut out all my favorite foods. I mean, granted, some of them were pretty bad, things like Velveeta and pizza and tortellini, things like that. But what I found myself doing pretty quickly was rewarding myself with those very foods for sometimes the most pointless things. Just because it's Friday doesn't mean you can reward yourself with a 2,500 calorie treat meal. Now when you pair this with the fact that I was weighing myself just about every day, I was giving myself like a ton of anxiety around the whole weight loss thing. I had a really tough time finding this mistake because for a long time I didn't even recognize this as unhealthy. But it's pretty crazy how one poor choice of a meal can slip into a bad day, a week, a month, and the next thing you know, you've completely derailed all your goals and you might find yourself starting over. But that was when I realized it's not so much the foods that are unhealthy. Well, I mean, they're unhealthy in terms of like caloric density, things like that. But it was my relationship with them. The best term that I can think of when it comes to foods like these are trigger foods. In that even if on their own they might not be that bad or unhealthy or however you want to call it, they can kind of push you towards more unhealthy behaviors or just set you off. Now my advice here is to take a second and think about what your trigger foods might be, which I'm pretty sure you already know at least a couple of yours. And maybe it's time to kind of like, distance yourself a bit. Now I'm not saying you have to cut them out forever, but at least break the habit. But maybe it's good to keep like a distance from them until you can learn to have like a more healthy relationship with them. Alright, the last big mistake I'm going to talk about for this video at least is that in the beginning I focused way too much on like the big picture. Now this is applicable to really any goal you set for yourself, but man did this mess me up in the beginning. When I first got started, I realized I had a pretty long road ahead of me, but really all I cared about was getting to the end. Now don't get me wrong, it's smart to have an idea of where you want to end up, but the big mistake I was making when it came to that was that for a while that's all I cared about. In the beginning, losing the 5, 10, 20 pounds felt like nothing when stacked against the over 140 pounds I ultimately had to lose. Yeah, but you know what? Any progress towards your goal is phenomenal and deserves recognition, just not with an unhealthy feast. Now I've already talked about how I learned how to set goals in another video, and if I remember to, I'll put a link up there for you to check out. But let me just point out something though. When it comes to weight loss, there isn't really an end. Now once you hit your ultimate goal weight, that doesn't mean you're done. That's the point where now you're going to take those healthy habits you hopefully learned along your way and adjust them and adapt them towards maintaining your now healthy weight. But what I recommend you do in the meantime though is break up your large goal into several smaller goals. And this could be something like lose 10 pounds, or stay on track for a whole month, or just drop a pant size. By setting these smaller and more manageable goals, you're setting yourself up to stay on track and keep motivated throughout the whole process. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Now if you like these kind of videos, if you want any other advice, be sure to leave a comment below and ask, and I'll try and get to it for you. Alright, thanks.